I'm Troy Morris. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO for Call Morris Inc. KMI is a space solutions company that is focusing on legacy assets in space, so old rocket bodies, things launched long ago, and looking to relocate, retrieve, and remove those objects so that they don't cause collision and disaster for all the great things humanity is doing in space. So we're doing that with the software and hardware we build in-house, as well as a number of contracts here in the States and partnerships worldwide. The reason that you'd be concerned in low Earth orbit if you're operating there is all the debris, 40,000 trackable significant objects, is that if one of your satellites hits them, it destroys that satellite that cost millions of dollars, years of technology, and you're now getting no revenue from it. So that's bad at the first part. But also the debris doesn't need to just hit you. It's like driving down a highway where someone else can have an accident in front of you and you run into their collision. The difference being the highways go 60, 70 miles an hour. Out in orbit, it's 17,500 miles per hour. So even a small piece and fleck of a disastrous collision before you can ruin your entire business case if not properly prevented. The ideal customers we've looked at it is someone that is currently or near-term operating in orbit, primarily in LEO. That's where a lot of the dangerous debris objects are. So low Earth orbit can be a lot of ground imaging, it can be communications, it can be some of those new constellations that are going up for satellite-based internet. And we're looking at those customers because it's a dangerous area. It is an area ripe for disaster, and we're working to prevent that. So those customers have a selfish interest in being able to work with companies like ours to prevent disaster before it ever occurs. Over the next few years, by 2025, 26, they'll be operating a spacecraft in orbit to retrieve and relocate a long lost piece of debris. So it's something that we're still in some of those discussions for what exactly it'll be, but there's a few interested parties, government and commercial, interested to do that first American mission. So scaling for us is always a fun question, because on the farthest side you can look technically of what actual scale of an object can you get, and that's something that's applicable when you're dealing with a wide variety of sizes. But I look at on more the business side of growing our company's capabilities, not necessarily just headcount or funding or locations, but our capability to work with customers, commercial, government, national defense. So that's the major factor for us, is being able to address and work with a much wider variety than we would have been able to in years prior. So some of that involves additional investors. That's a very necessary part of our plan going into this next year. But it's also growing that technical capability. So for me, as not an engineer, not someone who's writing artificial intelligence or software codes, it was really understanding that human element of it, of how much humanity relies on space for fun, getting games broadcast around the world, for commerce, for every day, for safety. Emergency services use tons of satellite resources. So for me, it was really coming to that opportunity of, we can make a difference in this world. We can make our dent on the universe. We may never leave, Earth orbit, but we can at least make our dent on the positive universe. And that was what really got us into it. So as we're looking at it in business cases, that's really what everything comes back to. There might be great considerations for this plan or that plan, working with this customer or that object, but it really still comes back to that fundamental truth, and it's the motto of the company: keeping space clear for all.